Oh, hey, hi.
Why would you?
Yeah, guess what? Kevin Pollak's in the studio with us today. It's about 78 degrees. Dew point's around 36. It's gorgeous. eGuiders live. Let's do it. Come on. Now, this is the opening credits that we never get tired of, that we comment upon in every show. There's music playing, but it's very nice music.
Is it?
It's beautiful music, and those are all our eGuiders.
Who did the music?
Greg Fine.
I'll say.
Hidden Tiger Music. This is episode 26.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm
Catching up.
So very honored to be on episode
We are so
26.
happy to have you.
You must be.
Kevin Pollak, thank you.
Please.
We have an actor, comedian, funny man, so many labels.
Wow.
You just go to IMDb.
Fell right off the truck
just
there.
go to IMDb
Actor.
.com, if I have to say it, please, and just go run in the lake or something. Jeez. Yeah.
How are you?
Go check it out. Good. How are you? Nice to see you.
Thank you.
This is eGuiders Live.
So that's it for you? Just the actor, funny man?
Actor, funny man. We have a lower third that's beautiful. A beautiful lower third.
I directed Vamped Out. So now I've got the director hat on as well.
We're going to talk about that later. We have a director's...
Been a member of the Writers Guild since '87, so you've got writer. I can do stand-up comedian for you, as Comedy Central insisted I was one of the top 100 of all time.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you?
Yeah, well played, sir.
It's interesting that you saw that, and then in my introduction failed horribly to mention it.
Yeah, well, when you were 10, you started doing stand-up.
Well, now you're just reading Wikipedia.
No, IMDb. IMDb.
IMD this.
Okay, so what could you have been talking about at 10? What was your routine like?
Actually, I ripped off somebody else's. Basically, I was...
Robin Williams?
I was, please, at 10. I was don't be frightened. I was lip-syncing Bill Cosby's first album. Noah and the Ark was the routine specifically.
Did you get a cease and desist?
Nope. Oddly, he didn't find out about it because it was just for my family.
Now, when it says you start performing at age 10, does that mean in your living room, or does that mean at clubs?
Actually, in the Zucker's living room, my cousins at Passover.
And how was the Seder show? How was the Seder show?
Well, let's just say no one looked for the offie coming.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? All righty.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so another thing that IMDb mentions is that you're a great impersonator.
Yeah.
You're a great impressionist.
I do. I am an impressionist painter, and I do a Joan Rivers act in Vegas.
Do you do abstract impressions?
I do. I like the abstract ones, the off the beaten path. Even when I started out as a teenager, I started doing clubs, I guess, when I was about 17, 18. I still, it was, I never did John Wayne. I didn't know how to do the sort of straightforward ones. John Wayne, of course, to date me horribly.
Is there a secret to doing them, or is it a gift, or do you just, if you wanted to do John Wayne, you would just have to practice until you got him right?
I never studied audio or videotape to learn anybody. I just hear voices in my head. In my case, they're famous people. Yeah.
So an ear would help, having a good ear?
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, if I may, but, everyone learns, as an infant, learns to speak through mimicking sounds, and some of us just don't stop. I think that's truly what the freak nature of the ability is, because it is a sort of freak gift and a curse, if I may. Right.
Do you find that acting is a form of mimicry or mimicking?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in my case it is, because I had no formal training as an actor, but I studied the greats, and then doing the impressions kind of came from being a fan first. I as a 5, 6-year-old, I would walk out of a movie, believe it or not, sort of drunk going in, hungover by the time the movie. And so I would come out of the theater being one of the actors,
right.
But in a sort of Zelig kind of way, not in a, hey, mommy, look, I can recreate that person. I would just be that person for a couple of days, and it was really funny and cute for a couple of hours, but not for a couple of days. It was really annoying to my parents. And at times I'm sure they were afraid that he wouldn't stop. The old don't cross your eyes because it'll stick. So I would come out of the theater as Sammy Davis Jr. for quite a while. Again, dating myself horribly.
Yeah. So so that's great. So, and were your parents supportive as you started, in your late teens doing stand-up comedy, or were they traditional parents that said, Kevin, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, I don't talk about them. No, they were very supportive from day one. Yeah, my mom tickled to death. In my father's case, actually faced death. But yeah, from the very beginning, it was immediately embraced and accepted. There wasn't ever a feeling of pushing me out to perform. I suffered from "Hey, look at me" disease from the get.
Yep.
And they just sat back and laughed and supported it.
Great.
Yeah. When I graduated from college in a little under a year, some call it dropping out. There was never any question. There was never, what the hell do you think you're doing? It was a matter of, well, yeah, okay.
And that must helped in tough times, right? I mean, do you
The
feel
fact that I dropped out?
the fact that you dropped out and you've gone through tough times and your parents were supportive? I mean, a lot of people's parents probably in this industry aren't so supportive. And
Yes, I was quite fortunate in that regard. They were not financially supportive so much. So I entered the workforce as a young steed.
good.
Uh-huh.
It's grounded. It makes you like a real Joe.
Well, the best part was in my senior year, of course, I was surprised to no one, the recipient of class clown for the yearbook. But went with it was sort of most likely to actually realize his dreams. Because from a very early age, all through junior high and high school, I was the performer at school, And by the time I graduated, it was just a foregone conclusion that I would be wildly successful.
Do you feel like you've reached your dreams?
Well, the fun part is like 6 weeks after graduating, when I entered the workforce, I was pumping gas for a couple of days thinking, well, I can do this. Yeah. And during those couple of days as a gas pump jockey, the principal of my high school pulled in to get filled up. There he saw me realizing my dreams so soon after graduating. Were we both wildly proud. I've actually succeeded way beyond the dream and the goal and the agenda and the plans. It's been pretty ridiculous. And if not inexplicable, one would search for some sort of contract made in blood.
So now, people say, well, what I really want to do is direct. And that, I don't know if that was always a dream of yours as you were working in the business, but now you finally, have had this chance to create a series and work in this new medium. And can you tell me a little bit about the research that went into directing? You said you weren't classically trained as an actor, but you watched and did a lot of research. Have you always been a huge film buff? I mean, obviously on the films that you've worked on, you're getting quite an education. But would you go and watch the masters and, soak it all up?
There's a weird thing when you have any sort of street cred as a actor, especially in independent films. After Usual Suspects, I had all this ridiculous street cred, and I'll stop saying that soon.
No, I thought Dr. Dolittle too.
Thank you.
Blew.
Talk about your street cred.
Whoa.
Right? Yeah, this day, by the way.
How can you not get nominated for that?
I know. It's bullshit.
Bullshit. And you could say that on this network.
As it were. Is that what this is?
This is a whole network. I have a whole media empire here.
Sorry, I hadn't realized
that
we were at the network.
Yeah.
I'm going to refer to it as the studio, if you don't mind, because it's really impressive as a studio.
Oh, thank you.
Not at all as a network.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have the top 3 floors as the network. It's where all the operations are being run out of.
That's where the Jews are counting the money. So I had all the street cred as an actor, and I had people actually coming to me, not many, but a few, asking me to direct a film. And I said to my acting agent, this is ridiculous, right? And he said, no, it's actually a weird thing where if you're a respected entity as an actor, then your first time directing attached to a project, you'll actually have more heat than a proven director whose last 3 films did really poorly. The fact that you haven't done any yet, you'll have actual heat.
Yeah, I
just
feel
because you have street cred as an actor.
Do you feel that?
Well, this is years ago. The heat's gone.
Oh, I thought I was feeling something.
No,
I was warming up.
That's I had a big lunch.
Yeah. Tabasco.
Well, we could go there. I think one of us did. So I had a few scripts sent my way for me to direct, and I didn't respond at all to the material, so it never happened. And the idea was in the back of my mind somewhere that I might. And then I finally wrote a script for myself to direct, a little contemporary noir piece, which is one of my favorite genres because it sort of forces the audience to be a participant rather than just a voyeur. like your usual suspects there.
Yep.
But also the great Hitchcock films and blah, blah, blah. So when I was set to direct that, I actually made a point of going around and interviewing actors who had become directors because I wanted that specific experience in terms of my education. I'd worked with the Scorseses, the Rob Reiners, the Barry Levinsons, the Ron Howards, and so on as a gun for hire.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know what mistakes actors have made who turned to directing. And so I talked to Tom Hanks and Kevin Spacey and who else? A couple of others.
What did they? Was there a thread that kind of went through all theirs and said, "Don't do this"?
I don't remember anything Spacey said, but I do remember Tom Hanks said. I asked him. I said, if you had one huge regret, one big glaring mistake that you felt you would never make again from having learned from the one experience, he said, "Yeah, well, there is one huge thing that happens." When you're an actor, you know how to sort of start the day's work. But as a director, if you get some sort of, like I would have an epiphany at 2 a.m. as to the next day's first shot.
Right.
And I would come into the morning and meet with my DP, Tak Fujimoto, who I've worked with too. He's brilliant. And I would say, Tak, I had this great idea how to start the scene. We're going to be on that giant chandelier when the fellas come in. He's talking about that thing you do that he directed. The fellas come into the room, into the theater, but we're going to start on the big chandelier, and we're going to slowly come down, and we're going to catch them as they're walking through the theater, and then we're going to stay on them, and that'll take us to... And Tak said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, why don't we just watch the actors rehearse, and then you and I will discuss where to put the camera. And Tom said, oh, you mean like when I'm normally acting in a movie and that's the way they do it? And he said, yeah, why don't we do it that way? And he said, these whole preconceived notions about these amazing shots you want to do,
right.
Gather the actors, let them rehearse the scene, let them tell you what the scene is,
right.
sort of thing. You can storyboard your ass off, but ultimately, if it doesn't live and breathe in the moment, it's going to look pretty staged and stale by take 3.
Hitchcock stuff has that
staged and
I wouldn't say stale, but everything's so thought out. His composition, his storyboards were done weeks in advance, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. Right. And then you have the other end of the spectrum, which I don't know if you've worked with David Milch or anyone, but he comes in and says the scene is now night.
Right.
It was day, it's not night, and we're going to change it all around, and it's a pretty wild, fluid ride. So there's like improv jazz, and then there's like a classical music approach, I guess.
Right. Well, I found through my own experience of directing Vamped Out that that's the new way to do heroin, by the way, everybody.
Yeah.
I found that...
why'd you give that away?
If you prepare, because I'd like to educate instead of just entertain for
you
a change.
are a maven as well. We should put that on the lower third, maven.
I'm just saying, if you could teach, if you could pass along. So I learned that why not incorporate all of them? Why not have ideas about what the scene it could be, and then let the actors rehearse it, and then try to meld the two, and then also give them space to improvise. Right. From Barry Levinson, I sort of learned write great and then cast well, then get the fuck out of the way.
Right.
Yeah.
90% casting.
Yeah, and easy. Scorsese, by the way, the meticulous auteur, what he wants in his composition of every shot is wildly specific and meticulous. Yeah. And then within that frame and composition, the actors are free 100% to do whatever they want. That I hadn't really experienced before working with him on Casino. That was a bizarre and wonderful experience. So I tried to create that as much as possible.
The Last Waltz. You ever see that movie?
Well, sure.
How was that? Sure. He did a great stuff. But
did that speak to you, The Last Waltz?
It did. Well, the whole thing about tinfoiling the windows when he was done, and just doing as much cocaine as possible. Okay. And then for all his films, he would then go away to to a hospital, Martin Scorsese, and get well for a couple weeks.
You're talking about the early films, I believe.
Yeah, the early films.
I'm not sure he went away after The Aviator.
No. Did you work with Mina Byrne in Avalon?
I'm going to say yes.
She's wonderful, wonderful lady.
What did she do in Avalon?
She was one of the older ladies. She was. She
Well, yes, of course, the older ladies, the ones I was hitting on the entire experience.
I knew you were into
How
that.
do you know? Did you just pull this name out of IMDb?
Yeah, I just.
Or is this someone you're
I
related?
randomly go through your movie list and say,
Well, forgive me. That's about a random of a cast list name that I've been asked about.
Well, there you go.
How do you are you?
I worked with her in the past and want to know if you remembered any experience with her. She just passed away. She was 97.
Well, I'm so glad
Had
I
a
was
nice-
able to
yeah.
Suggest that she was random shortly before you letting me know she
Yeah.
had passed away.
She just died. Thanks.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be it with Kevin Pollak in the
That's
chat
pretty
show.
much.
So,
That's me.
have you met Brian?
That's my ride.
Brian, how you doing?
Hey, Brian.
Hey, man, how's it going?
Don't get up.
Please.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I won't.
All right.
How are you
I've
today?
got too much to do over here.
Are you moving around? You got lots of things that you're working on? He's driving today.
Yeah, I'm driving.
Are you
Trying to-
pulling clips and
See,
ready?
now we can
ready
see.
Yeah,
to
we're all
show
ready to go.
wares?
Actually,
oh, I
you know-
That's the World Wide Web.
You can't even tell, but Mark helps to pull the clips too, and then I just set them to go.
Yeah, we're going to thank our sponsors, and then we're going to show the trailer for Vamped Out. We have sponsors. Isn't that exciting?
Congratulations. Why don't you thank them?
Blue Microphones, thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. Wirecast, thank you. That's our switching software. Livestream, which is one of our streaming providers.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And BitGravity,
Uh-huh.
thank you. Another streaming provider.
Do you run credits at the end?
Oh, we do.
Uh-huh.
We do. We do. Oh, it's fully professional here.
So you've got the people who like to listen and the people who like to read. We'll
Yeah.
all know who your sponsors are.
Definitely.
I see.
We incorporate it. We do all kinds of stuff after.
That was unbelievably
metadata. You don't even
smooth.
see it happen.
Right.
So we're going to show Vamped Out the trailer. You want to set up this, your directorial debut? And you never know. Did you? Is this actually your directorial debut? Because you were saying you directed some other thing before this. You were talking to actors who made mistakes for a short film.
Yeah, no.
Did you ever make that movie?
It's not a short film. It's a feature, and it was set up at Focus Features.
So did you
of
make-
all places? And then, right when we began the casting process, the president of the company was fired. The new guy came in and pretty much flushed everything on the drawing board down the toilet, the way that has happened to thousands upon thousands of my brothers and sisters. But I will tell you,
Yeah.
I don't think you should actually be able to join the Directors Guild unless that has happened to you.
Right, until your project goes down the tubes
Yes.
in the last second.
Until the new guy comes in and says, no, this is all crap.
Yeah.
So it went away for quite a while because it was greenlit so fast and got put on the fast track. And
Did you ever make the movie? That's what I
vanished.
want to know.
And I will tell you, I did not because after that experience, I was so.
I could handle the truth. Did you ever make the movie?
Well, I've already said no.
Okay.
So I was devastated by the experience and kind of threw it in a drawer and gave up on it. That sort of devastated. And then all these years later, I now have Billy Bob Thornton attached to play one of the leads, and we're out to female cast members as we speak to do it as a little independent feature.
So you didn't direct the movie yet?
How many times do you want me to say that?
So
I'm happy to. Just give me a number. So I
So
know.
do you feel like, doing the Vamped Out was like, damn, because now the heat is, that's my directorial debut, and this feature I'm going to do. What happened in that? Do you get heat on your sophomoric effort as well? Can you get some heat?
heat on my sophomore directing. The thing with Vamped Out was the premise of the show came to my creative partner, Jason Antoon, and I at lunch, and I was complaining about another vampire billboard. What was the name of it? Vampire Diaries was the name of the series, and the billboard with the hilarious tagline, "Love Sucks." And so we sat down at lunch, and I'm complaining about, another with the vampire.
How good of a complainer are you?
Pretty good. Well,
Pretty good.
In
terms of the Jew level of complaining, you're on the fifth.
Well, I'm a West
fifth
Coast
plane.
Jew, so I'm way down on the plane.
Yeah.
I had to learn to complain.
You could go to like Eslan. Let's go to like Big Sur and like chill and get our neuroses out.
Yeah, that's right, Big Sur.
Yeah.
Where all the Jews hang.
Yeah.
With the spleef. So what happened was when the idea for Vamped Out was born at that lunch, I immediately said, I'm going to direct these, and thankfully he said, sure. And then we wrote them together, and now to set up what we wrote, basically, when I complained about the vampire series, he said, could you imagine being a vampire right now with all the, Twilight and all this crap? You were a real vampire in this era who couldn't get hired to be one, because you're not skinny and tired looking and handsome.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the idea, the genesis of the show.
It's like Tootsie meets True Blood.
I'm going to say no and roll.
I just threw that. Here we go.
Yeah.
This is the trailer.
Flawless.
Look at that. Bubblegum.
Okay, test my mic. 1, 2, 3. In 2009, award-winning filmmaker Elliot Fink was shooting a documentary about a real vampire.
When I tell people that I'm an actor, they go, oh, what restaurant do you work at? But when I tell them that I'm a vampire, they perk up and they go, oh my God, which movie were you in?
Who do you believe is a real vampire?
They did not think, though, that you were vampire-y enough.
What?
They made an offer to someone else.
Who did they make an offer to?
It doesn't matter. They went a different way.
We mean a different way. You mean like a Michael Clark Duncan kind of way? Or?
Kinda, actually. Billy Zane.
He spoon-fed the entire vampire mythology to Bram Stoker.
If this documentary comes out, it'll lead to the destruction of our race.
I don't care whatever happens, no matter what, and I mean it. We keep these cameras rolling. Do you copy?
I don't understand why we couldn't just call the police.
Get the hell out of my car.
Kenneth, you stay in this car and you can shoot no matter what.
Ooh, diabetic.
Diabetic. That's awesome.
Thank you. Please be seated. That's too kind.
It's really great.
I'll say. What?
So
Thank you.
So you were saying you were complaining about the genre, and one of the
Yes.
first questions I had when I was watching the episodes is, wow, isn't it a little saturated, the whole vampire market?
Yes.
And do you feel that, making a parody on, or making, a comedy, a vampire comedy,
Right.
do you feel at the end of the day, wow, that is just another adding to the saturated market, or do you feel like you've provided a new twist, and what is some of the feedback you've been getting?
The feedback is some of the best reviews of my career, actually. The fans of the show are instant, growing, and rabid. I think the marketplace of vampire saturation was ready for some brevity, and but it's not jokey, it's not satire, it's not an actual parody. The great review. Someone said, curb your enthusiasm of the undead, which I thought was a great compliment. And then the other one was Arrested Development for the web, where the laughs come from the drama. They don't come from jokes and satire. So, I mean, the saturation to me was the incredibly soap opera, overly dramatic, melodramatic nonsense that's been going on. And also we wanted to call everybody on their shit, like True Blood, who take the mythology set forth by Bram Stoker and make it their own as a way to justify their own telling of, it's almost like the way to make your vampire shit original is to slightly tweak the mythology.
Right.
And, the fangs only come out at certain times and whatnot. So we decided to throw all of that out in the first 90 seconds of episode 1 in the cold opening, where he's saying, if I were a real vampire, could I do this? And he's applying the silver cross to his face and holy water to his face, and he's outside in the sunlight. And so our premise is that the whole mythology is horseshit, except for they do need blood to sustain life.
Right.
But they don't live forever. For example, they live about 375 years on average, and he says, I myself will be 172 in June. So it's that
good.
sort of having fun with the mythology.
And did you shoot, how many episodes are there total, and where are you now in the series? I think you're rolling them out right now as we speak.
Yeah, babblegum.com. I repeat, babblegum.com is where you go to see the series. They are the network, our mothership.
There's the lower third right there. For
All
people
right.
that go right directly to the...
George Ruiz at ICM, our wonderful team leader, Bubblegum was one of the first places he brought it to, and Amber J. Lawson over there, the head of their comedy, embraced
She is
it.
awesome.
Well, I say that not just because she's here, but she embraced it so quickly and got. We wrote the scripts first and then went into the marketplace instead of pitching the idea.
Right.
And so she read all the material and just got it. We sat down with her, Jason Antoon, my co-creator, and Star, our lead, and her sort of instant support and offering of sort of protection in terms of what I'm used to in traditional media from networks is that they're able to find exactly what's funny about something and then add water. But they have a genius level at finding the center of the heart of it,
Yeah.
and then adding the water right to that exact spot. Whereas with Amber J. and Bubblegum, it's been the opposite experience for me. So
I find it's more of a waterboarding.
well,
technique.
but that's to the artist, not to the material.
Right.
I don't care what they do to Jason and I.
Right.
That's funny. I look forward to more waterboarding from Bubblegum. So we did 6. That was the idea. You know, British comedies do 6 episodes. Like, I'm a huge fan of the original Office and a lot of the other ones that have come out of there. And they always do just 6 episodes.
Half dozen.
As it were. And so they run one new one each week. And the 5th one debuted this week. And the 6th and final installment of this first season will be next Monday, which would be the 17th, I want to say, of May.
Do you feel like when you look at the work, they, you know, how the timing, the rollouts for web content happen to be? Do you find that you'd wish you see one a day, or when it's done, will the story have more impact if you watch them back to back?
Well, that's the fun. You have the rollout, so you have that experience. And then after the 17th, all 6 episodes, like all 5 are there now. If you go to bubblegum.com. After the 17th, all 6 will be available, and you can, in fact, at that point, watch them simultaneously or one after the other.
And have you done that yourself? I mean, have you?
We had a little
played it?
premiere. Bubblegum Amber was nice enough to allow us to have a little premiere.
Such a sweetheart.
She really is a giver.
Really nice.
So we had ourselves a premiere where we edited all 6 together and put it on a big screen
Right.
where it was not intended to be seen when we created and shot it. And it was shockingly terrific
That's great.
On the big screen. But I will tell you, on your laptop, it's pretty damn terrific, too.
Yeah. Yeah. So this isn't your only foray into the web world, the new media world. You've been doing a chat show.
You mean the 2010 Streamy Award-winning Kevin Pollak's chat show? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Just checking.
Right. I don't know if you'd want to mention the award or not. I don't know if that helps or hurts you in any way. Shape,
I'm
or
unbelievably proud to have won the Streamy.
form. That's good.
Yeah.
So
As opposed to the Webby, where you have to pay to be
I know.
submitted to be considered for nomination. It seems like a beautiful scam to me.
Right. It is, and I thought your streaking performance was great at the Streamies.
No, not me.
Oh, that wasn't you?
No.
That's what the
No,
that's what the Twitter said.
I have stunt balls, and they're very, very expensive. I'm not going to just throw them out for free on a stage.
So your show now, it's called Chewing the Cud with Kevin Pollak?
Yes, it is. And we want our demographic. We wanted those who understood what the word "cud" meant.
Yeah.
That's all we wanted, were the cud lovers.
Yeah. Ruminations with Kevin?
No,
No?
circle around it though.
Okay,
It's there
okay.
for you.
Kevin Pollak chat show.
Still close.
It's
Kevin Pollak's.
chat show?
There's an apostrophe. Yes, Kevin Pollak's chat show. Yeah, chat show. Of course, the British version of talk show.
Right. So I think, pushing the form forward a little bit is everyone's artist responsibility a little bit. And are you doing that with runtime? Is there a decision to say, I want to just go until, we can't go? And like where I've just,
Why are the episodes so long? Is that what you're getting
I
at?
love that the episodes are long. We have a show that we do that's an hour and a half.
Yeah. Well, the idea was not to do a ridiculously long show. The idea was, as an actor, doing 75 talk show appearances, ranging from Carson to Charlie Rose and everyone in between, I felt like Charlie Rose was the only one that felt like an actual conversation. There was no pre-interview, which is the death of talk shows to me, because the anecdotes are rehearsed,
Right.
which is strange. In the pre-interview process, like there'll be a segment producer who will literally be on the phone with the day before, and he'll say, "So, what do you want to talk about?" And he'll go, "Well, I went on a family vacation." He's, "Oh, let's talk about that. Do you have any stories from the family vacation?" Well, and then you'll share one, and he'll go, What else you got? Like you're literally auditioning.
It's the pre-interview.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't realize that when they see Leno or any of these shows.
Yeah, and they become the bane of your existence if you're fortunate enough, as I have been, to do as many talk show appearances. So, first thing I want to do is do away with that. Throw out the pre-interview. Let's do our own research,
Right.
which you clearly did for today. And then the idea of doing it online was that no time restraints and no censorship, which meant literally a real conversation would unfold. So at first we had 2 guests on, and we would spend 45 minutes or so with each, and then we decided to just have 1 guest. Now we're spending an hour and a half or more with each.
Just getting deeper.
Eddie Izzard holds the record at 2 hours and 31 minutes. He's a talker. But
got to get John Landis on there. It'll be like 5 hours.
Yeah.
He's a great
Kevin
conversationalist.
Smith, almost 2.5 hours, another
Yeah,
talker.
he's another talker.
Yeah. Thankfully.
In Yiddish, Plepler, it means incessant talker.
Plepler?
Yeah. And which is interesting because Richard Plepler is the head of HBO. Hey, watch that director's cone.
Richard Plepler.
Richard Plepler. He knows it. Mm-hmm. So, well, that's some interesting knowledge of why you've
That's how
the show the show length.
That's what we set out to.
Now, did Charlie Rose did he call you and say, I want the set back, or are you
No,
are
I
you
ripped
using,
him off. I ripped him off
just
clean.
came in at night.
Yeah, round table, black backdrop. And I also rip off Tom Snyder the way
It's clean, yeah.
he used to open his show by staring down the barrel and talking to you about
I love it.
this or that. So
And-
I
and-
ripped them both off.
And did you research any of the earlier talk shows? I'm a huge fan of Jack Parr. I don't know if you're
I
Jack.
was, yeah.
What?
I didn't really research again because I'd been on so many of them as a guest over the years, over the last 20 years. And
How did you find Larry King? Have you ever been on Larry King?
oh yeah.
So, what do you
There's a
think of
game
Larry?
on my show called the Larry King Game that I insist all the guests play.
Tell me.
And if you'd like, you could do one now. There are the premise of the game. And by the way, I've had all the guests do them. If you go to YouTube / Kevin Pollak's chat show, there's actually a montage, like an 18-minute clip of maybe 30 or 25 of my guests doing their Larry King game. The premise is fairly simple. Larry King, God bless, hell of a career, but let's face it, he's 107. All right?
He's the Rolling Stones of talk show.
Much
hosts.
worse, much worse. He's 107, and it is my belief that it's only a matter of time before he says something on the air that none of us need to know about himself. So
in Miami in 1974.
right. The way he segues, the way he thinks, the way he talks, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. So to play the Larry King game, what I'm really asking my guests to do is to create that moment that Larry loses his shit live.
Right.
And so there are 3 rules. The first one, you must do a bad Larry King impression. The idea here is to relieve the pressure of having to do a good one. So you must do a bad Larry King impression, and then as Larry reveals something about him, the way he does in this moment that I've created for you, and then go to the phones. That's the third one. Because when you go to the phone, the name of the city should be a little funny sounding, if possible. Would you like an example?
Poughkeepsie?
That's a nice one. You want an example of the whole Larry King game? And then
Okay,
maybe you can do one.
Okay, this is exciting.
Thanksgiving. I like to teabag the gravy boats before the guests arrive. Saskatoon, you're on. Now,
That's good.
That's just a little example.
That's really good. You're an
I
impressionist.
I helped create the show. So.
Okay. So now it's my turn.
Yeah, you can do it now, or you can take a couple of minutes to think about it and ask me another one of your scintillating questions.
Oh, let me. We'll come back to it. Sure. That's really intense.
Yeah. You can absolutely come back to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to do a bad impression.
Yeah, you do Larry King in that moment when Larry spills something about himself on the air that none of us should know. That's really all I'm asking, is to create that moment. And you can go anywhere with it. But
let's see. Hi, I'm Larry King. I'm into hot Carls and Tuesday nights. Baton Rouge, you're on.
nice. That's that simple, really.
Yeah,
It really is. Yeah.
That was fun. So let's get a little video here of. You want to set up this this clip we're going to show? It's about 78 minutes long.
Are you going to show the Chris Hardwick interview?
Yeah.
It's just a little clip. He was a great guest. He hosts, of course, Web Soup, and which I was on recently. He's a really, really funny comedian also. So he was one of our funnier guests, and we just put together a little 2-minute clip of the interview on the YouTube channel. So you can roll that.
I'm just gonna hit play
if you're comfortable.
Yeah, no, I'm hitting play.
Chris Hardwick. Please welcome Chris Hardwick.
And so I leave school. I'm like, I don't know, half a year left of school or whatever. But I leave school and I go work for MTV because I was a philosophy major. And then you start to question the value of everything. You're like, well, why am I in school? Why are you grading me on things that have no value?
Right.
And so you leave and go work for MTV.
That's great.
As everyone does.
Sure.
And then I tried stand up a couple more times, and they're horrible experiences.
Well,
Worst.
because they didn't understand the jokes about Professor Wilson.
They didn't. They don't want to hear about how bad the corned beef hash is in Sproul Hall. But, yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Well, oh, Mike, I should write that down. That's mine. That's mine. Sproul Hall mine. Corned beef hash. But, yeah, corned beef hash. Here's what happens. I'm on MTV, so I'm somewhat recognizable, and I go to perform at the Irvine Improv. And the first night I go down there, and I haven't performed in like 4 years, and it goes great, which is kind of a bad thing because then I think I am bulletproof.
Right.
I'm Tony Stark, and then the next night, of course, I invite my girlfriend at the time and my parents down.
Oh.
And then
Guaranteed disaster.
It was.
Yeah.
Like so bad that the reaction that I start getting after the jokes is, oh. It's like vocal pity that people can't keep in. It's literally, this pity is bubbling to the surface and they can't suppress it. And it's just this atmosphere and they know it's going badly and I know it's going badly and then
But you've got to do X amount of time.
And I do, and you know, and I'm on TV at this point. So
how long was the set?
It was only like 10 or 15 minutes. I was just opening.
How many minutes into the 15 was this happening?
About 5 seconds.
It's nice. You do ask some Larry King, you know, some nice pointed questions. How long was that? When did you do that? Yeah. But you got to get the guest names wrong.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Yeah, I look forward
Charlie, Chris, Charles. Who are you?
I look forward to doing the show in a diaper.
Depends. It's a man diaper.
It depends if I last long enough or it'll be wearing depend.
So what is kind of for you the most rewarding aspect to doing the show? What have you learned? Or learning as you go through this process?
Well, I learned along with the audience how these guests of mine got from there to here. I mean, that's the story that I'm after. I've always been a fan of biographies. So the idea is to do a little conversational biography and also what interests the person now in terms of their life, where they're at and whatnot. But it's really about the journey, you know, that I find fascinating in people of all walks of life.
Yeah. And so are you doing the show as a weekly show now?
It's every Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock West Coast time. Do the math.
Smart.
According to where you live.
Smart. And is that, I think that's very strategically placed, that Sunday slot, because you're usually, if you're booked on a show, you're not, you know, working on a Sunday most likely.
Yeah, movies. I've done the show twice from New York because I was stuck there working on something, and I found a little studio and did the show from New York, once with Kevin Smith and once with Craig Bierko.
I think that's great dedication.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't like to miss many weeks.
The show must go on.
Yeah, we did an Oscar telecast. We did one on Easter Sunday 2 years in a row now because the Jews love that holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a pagan holiday.
Yeah. We did Mother's Day the other day, last week actually, and we did. I guess did we do? No, we took the Super Bowl off because no one cared. I wanted to give my staff that day off.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Do you?
And by staff, of course, I mean my penis.
That's nice. You know, that's nice. All the kids listening, a muffin. Your muffs.
My demographic again.
Yeah, you know.
Again, they're 72 or
72 or 7.
Yeah. The great comedian Bobby Slayton said that about my act 22 years ago. Pollak, you're like a Bradley game. Ages 8 to 80. They all love you.
That's a beautiful compliment.
Thank you, sir. It was his.
It's like vanilla ice cream. Who doesn't like vanilla ice cream?
That one I find off-putting.
Thank
you. But otherwise, this has gone horribly.
Yeah, terrible. I mean, we haven't even hit record yet. We're not even live.
Whew.
So you ready to start the live broadcast?
And go. Yeah.
So tell me, what is the next step for you? I mean, do you
Well,
want to keep growing?
I didn't quit my day job. I have a couple of films coming out as an actor. I'm about to start a new one actually next week called The Big Year with Steve Martin, Jack Black, and Owen Wilson.
Some independents, some new up and comers.
Yeah, we're in the talks with Bob Babblegum about doing a second season, and
how does that work? How similar or dissimilar is that, say, to traditional media about? It talks about, what are they're monitoring views,
it was not similar in any way, shape, or form, the entire experience. And in fact, the notion of possibly pressing forward wasn't based on the norm Nielsen rating sort of things. Yeah, the numbers have to be good, but they don't have to be through the roof. What happened I think with our relationship with Babblegum was that they gave us this sort of unconditional love and support, and if we delivered a show of such quality that made them proud to have it on their network, then that may be the first and foremost reason why they want to continue doing it, as sort of a, hey, look, this is what we're good at doing, this kind of show. So I think the notion from the beginning with us was there wasn't as much normal pressure from traditional media to have crazy great numbers. The numbers had to be good, but they didn't have to be insane. I mean, that was sort of the understanding, as I understood it anyways, or something that I'd convinced myself of one night after a couple of martinis.
And do you feel that you want to keep exploring and expanding, your footprint in this medium?
Yeah, we're actually George Ruiz has us.
He's my agent too.
Yeah, well, he's the head of all new media.
Yeah. He runs the whole.
Yeah, he's Yoda.
The secret.
Yeah, he keeps saying, "Patience, you must have." So yeah, we have other ideas of other shows, and so then we'll just continue to expand our creative. Also, my partner on the chat show, Jason Calacanis, he is one of those internet mini mogul jerks who he and I have sort of created this little thisweekend.com network of This Weekend shows.
So now you have Leo Laporte asking for his thing back. You got Charlie Rose asking for a set. What's next?
Right.
I mean, what are you doing?
Well, if you take a look at traditional media, you'll see that there are no great ideas. There are 7 great ideas, and they get copied throughout time and inspire one to do another. And it's funny because
such as the vampire genre.
Yep, it's all over.
They got to remake that movie every 6 months.
Yeah, there were only 7 great ideas for the last 200 years, and they inspire others to do variations on a theme.
Well, I find your work inspiring, and I do. I think you're doing a great thing for the medium, for the web, and bringing credibility. And I know Will Ferrell was doing that for Funny or Die, bringing traditional actors who have several years ago were scared to even dip their toe in this water are now kind of.
Well, I think it's important to be respectful to the internet as a home for original content, and not just think you can bully your way in because you come from some sort of recognizability of traditional media. It was YouTube that threw Oprah off in about 36 hours because she tried to bully her way on and said, "I'm Oprah. Apparently, I can take over any media." And literally, the fans and loyal audience of what YouTube original content is said, "Nah, you should go fuck yourself," pretty much.
Right.
She's
like, "All right, fine. I have my own network."
It was very right, and that inspired her to create the O network. So I'll show that. Yeah. So I had to really do a little research and learn immediately to be respectful to this new home that I was inviting myself into, and not. With the chat show from the very beginning.
You like Calacanis bully and then you're behind that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let him do all that.
Oh yeah,
all the deal, all that. And
there's no fluke.
Hey, I'm just a nice Jewish guy.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, truly though, the idea always was to involve the audience from the very beginning with the chat show.
Yeah.
I had a contest for them to write the theme song, and we take live questions from the audience through Twitter and through the chat room, so they're involved live with the guests as it's happening. And then with Vamped Out, and a lot of the press that we're doing has to do a lot with going out to bloggers. When I talked with Amber
Yeah.
about having the premiere. It wasn't, let's get all of our
Right.
friends and everybody we know. It was like, all right, well, let's have some friends, but let's try to fill the theater with bloggers who have a presence online and
Yeah.
who the online audience want to hear from.
I totally forgot to mention we have a chat room. We have a chat. I guess it's 45 minutes into the show. If you have any questions for us, just feel free to join into the Mibbit chat. I know there's some. Is there some activity going on?
Is that what Brian does? He throws the
Well,
questions?
there's been a couple comments about a haircut. I guess you got a haircut. And
Yeah.
You're not wearing a hat today.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wear a hat every time.
And what kind of hat is that? That's a very specific. The little paperboy hat. What is that?
What do you mean?
What is the hat?
You mean the one I was wearing on the
Yeah,
show?
yeah.
Well,
What
clearly you've done your research. I actually wear a hat.
we were looking for it on Google. We're like, what is the name of that?
No. I wear a different hat every week.
No, the one that was.
But the one I was wearing
on the
with Chris-
anniversary show.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. You guess you could call it a paperboy hat. I don't know. It
was really cute.
It's thank you. That's what I was going for. I was going for really cute. Yeah, I normally wear a hat in the chat show, and my hair was considerably fuller, as you may have seen from the clip even of Vamped Out. I love the Floyd's, the new chain of these barber shops called Floyd's, and really sort of indie rock vibe there.
Yeah.
And all the stylists are plenty of ink and very independent spirits, and some of them actually pay attention when you say, yeah, just a quarter inch, and then others, as
Just
in
whiffle it.
yesterday's experience, do not pay attention when you say just a quarter inch, because
You look beautiful.
Let's just put it this way: if I had this sort of treatment at my bris,
It'd be bad news.
I would not be here now.
But you're talking about respecting the
So many
community.
things, really.
So many things, and I think coming to it authentically, being authentic, is crucial, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I wanted with the chat show, and quite frankly, that's what we sort of wanted with Vamped Out, which was do real film here. Don't try to be something cutesy that you think cuts into the world of the web audience in terms of what you think they want.
Right.
Do the smartest
thing you can.
film storytelling that you're capable of, and it's one of those, if you build it, scenarios.
Yep. Any advice to young people wanting to get involved in the space?
What I just said.
Okay, so Kevin Pollak Chat Show. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're quite welcome.
I thought this was a nice interview. No?
You should. Yeah.
Thank
It's
you
important that you think this was a
No,
nice
and I do,
Yeah.
and I'll tweet it.
Will you? Yeah. Well, I listen. I appreciate and respect what you're doing here, honestly, and I also know the difficult nature of booking these kind of shows and the sort of ebb and flow of guests committing and then not committing, and I had to reschedule my appearance here once, so I appreciate your understanding and having patience with my schedule. And
That's okay.
I'm more than happy.
I take it you live on the west side, and
spend
it's
this time here.
hard to make it to the east side.
I do live in Venice.
That's like we might as well be in New York.
Yeah, I'll say. So then, but that particular day was not just because I didn't feel like driving across town.
Oh, you had the rash? Was that when that happened?
I actually had a career that day.
Oh,
Yeah, I had career problems that day.
well, I hope it.
Today I had none.
Great.
I had no career problems, and thanks for the opportunity. I'll give you one of these. Unlike Howie Mandel, I'll actually shake your hand.
Not a big makeout session at the end.
The makeout is
All
not,
right,
is not my
okay,
style.
okay.
Not while the camera's on. As soon as it's
Oh, yeah,
off,
okay.
we're in the other room.
Okay, great. Well, this
Here
has
at
been,
your network.
This has been eGuiders Live. Thank you so much, Kevin Pollak. You've been wonderful.
I'll say.
Let's hear it for Kevin Pollak. Brian, thank you so much for driving today.
Yeah, no
and thanks to our sponsors. Have a beautiful Thursday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Bye-bye.